Let's see how this works. Alright, my name is Doug. I am a beginner level programmer. Yeah. So this is just a test on my laptop to see if my video quality is good enough, but overall this project, not sure where it'll go, but I watch a lot of content on YouTube, and I've been trying to teach myself programming over the last year. So it's been an interesting journey, but I guess my goal of this channel, if you were to call it that, it didn't even have a title. It's gonna be my experience and my journey, and the trouble I ran in, the troubles I'm running into. So I am not an experienced level programmer. So if you go on YouTube, you'll see a lot of people, great YouTube content creators, great programmers. They release awesome content. For the most part, it's great. But a lot of those people, they probably went through the same steps. They started not knowing programming, but really, my goal for this channel is to provide kind of the same content, but through the lens of somebody who, this doesn't come easy. This isn't my field. This isn't what I do. Well, it's what I do now, but it's not what I do professionally. It's not what I've done professionally over the past 10 years. So my background, my degree's in exercise physiology, been a personal trainer. I'm actually a telephonic health coach at the moment. I've been doing that for 5 years. So great job, love it. Last year, so during the beginning of the pandemic, I, was working from home a lot, which wasn't a change. So I was very comfortable working from home, working remotely. So the whole pandemic didn't, affect me too much day to day, but I started to have more downtime, being home. I didn't have to commute to work. And I just found myself doing nothing. Or I was doing things that didn't have any result or positive influence on my life. Like, I manage several social media accounts. I've never actually done YouTube, but maybe that'll change with this. So, and I was pretty successful with those, but farming likes, farming followers, it was nice, but what was the end goal? Some of them are pretty clear. I'll maybe go into that in another video, but so I started to think to myself, well, I need to do something. Like, my job, as much as I like it and have really provided a way to, provided a way to provide for my family, but it gave me the opportunity to provide for my family in a very consistent way that was on level of how much I thought would get paid and the job responsibilities. So I have no complaints. I have nothing but, I love where I work. So, but I needed more. I'm essentially in my, as a telephonic health coach, it's different every day because I talk to different people, but it's the same stuff. I'm very much doing the same thing that I was doing 5 years ago. Same basic idea. So anyway, I started to think to myself, well, I need to do something. I need more of a challenge. I was getting stagnant. Like, you can get your master's level degree in exercise physiology, and unless you become a physical therapist, it's hard to progress. Like, I work with a lot of people with higher level degrees, lots smarter than me. Not to say I'm better than them, but from a participant standpoint, from the people I talk to standpoint, there wasn't a lot of difference. We still have a scope, and there's only so far you can go in the fitness world and the health, kind of that realm, to where I just started, like, I could get another certification. Like, there was a point in my career I held like 5 certifications, like Yeah, it was fun. It led me on a path that I don't regret. I would do over again. That led me back to my original major in college 10 years ago. Uh, I forget what it was. I originally wanted to be a web developer or website developer, which what led into that in high school, my senior year, I designed a website for our high school librarian for her to sell sheepdogs. It was horrible, but I had fun doing it. Took an HTML class. I guess for the time, I mean, this was 2004. The internet, I mean, wasn't much. It was just past like the basic HTML pages. Think like Space Jam, well, the Space Jam website, which is still up. It wasn't good as that, but it was still something. Like I did it, and there's always something to be said for putting out something, whether or not it's perfect. It was out. It functioned, like to the extent it was on the internet and could connect people to the dogs. And there was nothing more than that. It was really just a contact page with pictures, and I had little rotating carousel slideshows, and so I started experimenting, and so that led me into, oh, well, I'll go into computer technology or something. So I started my college career in that path, and I enjoyed a lot of classes, but I didn't know myself enough, and I wasn't mature enough to make the best use of it. So I guess I was never a great student. I'm not overly, like, I'm not gonna say I'm not smart. I am. But I wasn't great in school. I never established good study habits. And also I never, you know, realized my own difficulties and how to go around them. So think more of like attention deficit disorder, ADD, which, yeah. So until I discovered how to learn, it was hard going, but I still enjoyed some of it. But it was when my first 2 or 3 semesters, I was on like the Purdue side of IUPUC and IUPUI, so essentially Indiana University. So I was in that realm, in that space, but I just I didn't have the discipline to do it. So I did well in some classes. I didn't have good study habits though, so the other ones I actually would have had to try. Didn't go as well. I got discouraged when I took the thing that got me out of the major was taking a C# class. That right there, like I thought I would like it, and I just didn't get it. Maybe because again, study habits, and I just didn't know how my brain worked, and so I tried my best, but I didn't do great. I was surrounded by, I remember one of my partners for a project. He knew everything like like he already knew how to do it because he started probably early on in his life. He probably was doing games for fun in high school and stuff, which I get. But I didn't have that background. I never had a lot of feedback on how the things I did well. There's a lot of memories growing up where, my dad was trying to teach me math, and he didn't get why I didn't get it. Like, he's a CPA and, really smart guy, but he's not a teacher. He didn't understand how my brain worked. And to be fair, I didn't understand that until my daughter, who's 6 now, was in kindergarten, and just seeing how she learned. And I see a lot of similarities and what that means is she's not automatically just good at things, but give her, and I've seen it repeated around 3 tries, and she starts to get it. But like, for instance, we were teaching her as a baby, we were trying to teach her sign language to communicate before she could talk. Nothing. She didn't. There was never. She knew maybe one that had to do with more, which of course. So yeah, then we gave up, and about, it was like 2 years later, she started to pull it out again, and she was then becoming a toddler, talking more, being more of like a human as opposed to more like a baby-sized goldfish. So that started getting me thinking, and then as she started getting into school, Just seeing her struggle, seeing the same things. Even my mom has said when she's, she watches her a lot, that we're very similar. So that started to get me thinking, I don't want her to struggle as much as I did. I'm going off topic here, but I feel this is relevant. Um, so that started to get me to think about how her brain works, how mine works, what has worked for me, and it's taken a long time. Like, I didn't start to do well in school until I had something to connect it to, until I developed better study habits, not even good study habits. So anyway, it was like 3 semesters into my computer science degree. I didn't really have a clear goal, and and it sticks out in my mind. I was in Intro to SQL, which I didn't mind. SQL wasn't that bad. I could, revisiting it now, it's like, oh yeah, I remember that, and it's not too difficult. I haven't delved too much into it. Anyway, we were introducing ourselves in the class. It's like the first day or something, and someone in the class who he said his major was exercise science, and I was like, that sounds interesting. And that was kind of the path I was on anyway. I was at the time doing a lot of boxing, martial arts. I was doing kung fu. My instructor was a personal trainer, and I started to think, that's cool. And at the time, it was like, oh, well, it has a future. I was looking at like, oh, you can make this much. And so then I switched majors, and I don't regret it, but I don't, looking back, I would do it over again, but it wasn't the best decision. And because you see these salary range, you see all the potential, you see what you can do. You can work in a gym. Yeah, you don't have to wear a suit. Hey, it's alternative kind of job. Like it's kind of like surfing, like for a living, but it's not. I started out in gyms, like Bally's Total Fitness, and worked as a personal trainer. I was okay, but I like the creativity aspect of it, and I guess that's what got me out of the programming, the computer science side of things. Is it just felt very like ones and zeros. There's not a lot of opportunity for me to be creative, and that's always where I shined. Like, I did the best when I could be creative. So I switched majors, and again, I still struggled in school. It's like I immediately like, whoo, this is what I was meant to do. So yeah, and that continued for the rest of my college career, and I only started to get good at things and feel confident and get good grades on hard stuff when I had something to connect it to. I was working as a personal trainer, but I was starting to become more confident in my skills. I was using what I was learning, I was applying it, and it all made sense, and I wanted to learn, and I took the time to do it. And so I, to be straight, be honest, transparent, I was almost kicked out of school, almost my like junior, the year before my last year, just because I didn't have direction, I didn't have motivation. But then I met my, now wife, and I started to get more of that motivation. I started to develop better habits. So I went from being basically kicked out. I basically wrote a letter to the dean, and what was happening, I was actually working almost full time during that and commuting to, like 45 minutes each way to Indianapolis, and it was just too much. And we discussed like, hey, you need to decide, do you want to go to school or do you want to work? And I was working at a juvenile detention center, which was interesting. So I took the time, I took that advice, and I turned it around. So I went from being basically kicked out to being on the dean's list in the span of a few months. So, like a semester. So that was the first foray into learning how to learn. And so then, I got a job. But, you graduate from college. I don't act like I have my degree, but I never actually picked it up. I think I had like a parking ticket or something for my EPY, and but I have my degree. So if you're my future employer, I have my degree. But anyway, I got a job, and I wasn't making that much. I wasn't doing maybe what I wanted to do. Personal training is great. there's only so much of a future in it. The best personal trainers have to, they're working all the time, and that's not even a field that's really great right now. And that was another part of why I maybe wanted to switch to something else. Like, but then I started to realize, because over those 10 years of working in a non-programming field, over the course of that time, I came up with so many things like, oh, I wish I hadn't, like, I wish I could make an app. Like, who could I find to make an app for this? I have nothing but ideas. Everyone has ideas, but I try and, like, okay, if I can think about an idea for a few weeks and it's still good, I try and make it a reality to some way, and that's been a good thing. So there's a lot of things I've developed over my time that are really unique and innovative and things like that. But again, I didn't have the skills to do those things, but I know the use, I know what I want to use it for, essentially now. And that's what led me back to programming, is like, it's like, not only can I be creative, it's like, I can do anything. Like, the world is at your finger. Like, I know it's like a cliche, but like, I felt like the world was at my fingertips with programming. And if I can learn this, anything is possible. Like, anything. Like, I just didn't know where to start. And that's kind of where my next video will be. What I want to cover is, if you don't know the field, how do you start? And what problems did I run into that you might run into as well? Like, there's so many things that I did wrong. Like, because I knew I'm pretty good with computers. Like, I'm pretty tech savvy, but I didn't know anything about programming. Like, I know I can make like an HTML page. That's pretty basic. I know the basics of that. Like, the programming, like, it wasn't a complete mystery, but so I had to find a good starting place, and just finding information, and like having something I wanted to do, and just, it was a lot. And of course, I wrote, watch videos, got books, but I just wasn't sure where to start, and that'll be the top of my next video. Is that my kind of initial first few weeks, months, really the first few weeks and first 3 months were very similar. Like, I made the same mistakes over and over again, looking back on it. But at the same time, I feel that's important. You have to make mistakes as a self-taught programmer. Like, it's just inevitable, and it's hard to find actual help. Like, finding someone to literally talk to, especially in a pandemic, was near impossible. Even the place, I work at a pretty big company that everyone would know its name. It's almost like Coca-Cola. But even there, like, I try and ask questions to, like, the programming team, and just curiosity. Like, I wasn't even asking for a job or anything like that. And like, I get it. People are busy. Like, I don't blame them at all. But I've reached out to people I don't even know, like, that I don't work with, that don't know me. Well, I guess, they kind of know me, but that I got more of a response. So, there's a lot of ways to go about it, and I guess I'm gonna try and go over those things. And there might be some tutorials. I mean, there could be a lot of things. Like, since I'm not a natural born programmer, none of this comes easy to me. I'm not bad. Like, that's not a good way to view it. Like, I would say a small percentage of the people who start to learn programming just pick it up right away. And, I think that's the difference. It's the same thing with the other hobbies and stuff I've done that have turned into much larger things than hobbies. And I wasn't naturally good at them, but I feel that makes me a better instructor now, because I'm able to explain it in a way that would have helped me. Like, there's a lot of concepts with programming, because like, I started with C++, and then JavaScript, that made more sense. But then Python was where I really started to realize, oh, I get what I was doing wrong. But I get this. This isn't all gibberish. So yeah, this is all unscripted, by the way. I was just thinking about that. But yeah, so Python, I guess, will be the main language I'm going to talk about. But you know, you're going to be along for the journey. This is more for me than you guys. In fact, I say you guys, y'all. One person, I don't know who's going to watch this. Like, the production quality is gonna. I'm not always wearing this hat either. I just I haven't gotten a haircut for a while. So, like I said, I work from home. I don't go out much. So this is gonna be my outlet. The quality and everything else, production will definitely improve over time. But this is just an intro video. If you have ideas for names for the channel, it's like. Be beginning programming with Doug. Like, I don't know, like, I'm not going to be able to teach you anything better, like technically better than people like Mike Dane. He was one of my earlier content creators on YouTube, instructors that I connected with. I've watched a lot of his videos. For being a super smart guy, he's able to relate the material to people that are going to be at a lower level than him, which is a lot. But he's probably one of the better people that I've, so if you're looking to get into programming, start there. And he has, tons of videos that multiple hours long, well worth the watch. And I'm going to go over other things that, again, courses and stuff that help me. But this channel, you're going to be along for the struggle. Like, there's not a lot of YouTube channels that are about programmers that are trying to figure it out, like, literally, like, right now. And there might be things where you're gonna be along with me while I struggle with understanding classes. Like, I understand them, but knowing when and how to apply them in the ways that I want, it's still kind of, in the ether mist around my brain, but I'm gonna get there. And like my fundamentals have improved drastically since I learned how to learn. And that's kind of what I want to go over. But it'll be fun to make some other content, have like a title, some music. I even have blue screen, so that'll be fun. And again, this is more for me, but if you want to be along for the ride, this is a long video. So if you've stuck to this point and hear me rambling, the other ones will be more scripted. But yeah, so then this is all kind of before work. So I just wanted to put something out there to get it out there. I'm building my portfolio, trying to do like a site. I figured some of these videos could be on there. I don't know how attractive this would be to a future employer. But again, this is just a starting place, and I hope to provide, again, the insight of a beginner for beginners that sucked at this first. And, in some ways, I admit that I still suck, but I'm okay with that, like, because I won't always suck. Like, I'm 100% confident on that. Like, I enjoy programming, and I'm not doing, like, yes, there might be some more security financially from a programming professional role, sure, but I enjoy it, and I was surprised about that. I look forward to studying. I look forward to doing practice problems. I look forward to all this. So I don't know, realize why you're doing it, but again, these are topics for another day. This video has gone on way long enough. I didn't expect to do almost a half hour, and I'll have to get my hair for next time. But anyway. This is Doug, as of today's February 19th, on my channel that's yet to be named. So I'm open for suggestions. Of course, I could come up with one. I don't know. But again, this is for me. This is my own personal journal, really. But I'm going to put it up on YouTube, and we'll see where this goes. You're going to be along with me. This could get fun. Bye, guys.